So the first step to winning, showing up, right? Give yourselves a hand. Nice outside. There's a lot of places that, Kim always says, excuses are tools for the incompetent, right? You guys are making excuses, but it's sunny out, right? Man, it's like the first warm day in 3 weeks. But you're here because it's going to pay off. You're going to win because of this. Listen, we got a huge morning. I'm telling you what, I'm excited. I woke up excited. I've been waiting for this for a couple weeks ever since they agreed to come down and spend a couple hours with us. So I hope you showed up with an expectation of something great happening. Okay, you've got to expect something big to happen if you really want it to. Okay, it doesn't happen by accident. Okay, you come here with an attitude to learn, take notes, be ready. We're going to have a Q&A towards the end. Write down your questions, write down your thoughts. Listen, the people that are speaking this morning, they have made it an obsession to become great at this business. Okay, they want to perfect their craft, and they work day in and day out to do it. So it's our time to take advantage of them, get everything we can get, okay? These guys are fierce competitors. We love competing with them. We love even more being friends with them. They're incredible. They're going to be huge in this business. There's no doubt about it. You're going to be watching videos with them on there for a long time to come. So let's get on our feet. Let's give a big, big welcome for Ryan and Anna.
You know, if you work at a corporate office, do you ever hear people saying things like that about you?
No.
Never, right? So thank you so much for inviting us to speak for you guys. We're so humble, but this will be later, right? Yeah. We'll do this a little later when Ryan's speaking. But first of all, I just want to talk about my story because I don't know if I met all of you guys, but I'm Anna Nguyen, and before Primerica, I was a bartender, a nail tech, and I was going to school. So I was working a lot, and when I met Ryan, we were together for about at least a year before I started the business. I've been here for 2.5 years. But before I started, he just invited me to like 3 meetings. He wasn't really pushing me. He didn't really want to recruit me. And I felt that vibe. And so after I went to these meetings and saw how the partnership was, like I saw Andrea Burks and Brett Burks, and just seeing how their partnership was just so strong, and they're building a business together, something great together. And that's what I wanted to do with my life. And so I was like, how can I get licensed? So I had to ask him. You know, he wasn't even like telling me, hey, come to these meetings, you know, to the overview. I'm just like, okay, well, let me ask him because he's not going to say anything. So when we got started, I mean, we put our strengths and weaknesses together. So if you're a partner, raise your hand if you're a partner. Yes? Awesome! Women in Primerica next weekend, right? Yeah. Woo! Get your tickets. But what was I saying?
Strengths and weaknesses.
Yes, strengths and weaknesses, right? So we put our strengths and weaknesses, so it's like a T-chart, and then we put them together, and we work on our strengths. Because, yeah, you can look at all weaknesses, but that's not going to get you anywhere, right?
Right.
So we work on our strengths. And for my roles, I do the paperwork, the admin stuff. I put every stress of admin stuff out of Ryan's hands because I know he hates doing that, and I don't mind doing that. So I do all that. I make sure Ryan has everything prepared, like referrals on his carrybacks, his just paperwork. And then I get numbers on Facebook. I don't prospect directly on Facebook. I message them individually and say, hey, Ryan and I are building our business. We're looking to hire new key people or new sharp people this month. Who do you know? I don't say, do you want to, you know, are you interested? I say, who do you know that might be interested in making part-time income? And then they'll be like, oh, I do. What do you do? I do asset management. Well, can I get your number and I'll have my business partner reach out to you and give more details, right? So not like a whole script of, you know, overwhelming things, because that's a lot to explain over Facebook, right? And then, let's see. And I build relationships with our team. That's the biggest thing, because you can't build a lot of, or you can't be big if you have a small team, right? So we got to get big, and that's why we recruit a lot, but then we maintain them, right? I mean, I call them, text them every other day, just hearing them every day. Because if they don't hear you every day, then it slowly gets out of their mind, right? Out of sight, out of mind, right?
Yeah, sure.
So just doing that, and some keys as being a partner. I have some keys that we learned in La Casa by Samora Lee. She says, be visible. I mean, partnership, just being there and showing the team that you're there, you're committed. Because if you're not showing up, they're like, they're not serious. Why should I be serious, right? So what they see is what they're gonna do, right? So try not to disagree in front of business. Like if you have a disagreement, try not to fight over it in front of the group setting. Because that's just uncomfortable for people. When you see somebody like fighting, you're like, okay, this is weird. So try not to argue in front of people. Don't be negative. I mean, don't dump on your negative stuff on your partner. I mean, that goes both ways too.
Sure.
But just because they could be having a bad day, and if you're just like, oh, I'm coming home, oh my God, this person does this, that just drags down the energy. You want an upbeat energy, right? And also, I just think believing in each other, encouraging each other. Because it's easy to not believe in somebody, but if you believe in them, just like Ray Costello, whatever, he says that you should believe in people more than they believe in themselves, because they can't see it, but if you see in them, that pushes them up. So that's what I have, but we just want to talk about more recruiting and just how we did that. So
Sure, yeah.
Bring it to Ryan.
Give Ann a hand. So first off, thanks for having me down here. I mean, I'm truly humbled and honored to be able to speak in front of people like Tom and Kim and Josh, Sean. I mean, I've always looked up to Josh ever since I started the business. I mean, guy was always making money ever since Tom and Kim came in. I always admired them. So I mean, we're nowhere near where we want to be. So kind of when Tom called, I was like, "Are you sure? I mean, really want me to come speak? We're really not doing much yet." So, but we're getting some things going. I think that's really what it's all about. So my talk is not really about, hey, here's how to make $100,000 a year, because I'm not there yet. My talk is not, here's how to run a $50,000 base shot, because I'm not there yet. But my talk is always to the person that maybe sit in the back of the room that has 0 by 0. I think I got $2,000 in chargebacks, right? Every person they invite down, that no one shows up. The person they do hire, they quit, right? You're always at every meeting by yourself, but you just keep showing up. You keep thinking, man, I know I can do this. If that guy's winning, she's winning. I know I could do this if I just keep getting better. Does anyone relate to that? Am I the only one? Okay. We've all been there, right? I mean, I did not get off to the fastest start, guys. I've been in Primerica for about 6.5 years now, licensed. I had about 1 year repeated 4.5 years, if you know what I mean. So you grow from that, you learn from that. My business really changed when I hired my partner, so I think Anna's talk is important, that you should recruit your partner. When two people are joined in love, working towards a common goal, that's much more powerful than people going in the opposite direction, right? Trust me, we see it all the time. We just had this conversation with someone in our office. They're trying to get their partner to the women's event, and no, I don't want to go to that thing. I don't want to. I mean, that's just hard. I mean, the business is hard enough, right? To be successful in Primerica, it's hard enough when things are going right. A lot of know when you got an unsupportive spouse, that makes it even more difficult. Would you guys agree?
Yeah.
So when I hired Anna, that was probably the best decision, because she really took a lot of load off my shoulders. Like she said, I don't like doing admin. I don't like doing paperwork. I don't like inputting FNAs. I don't like calling the home office. I don't like doing any of that, right? What I'm good at is prospecting. What I'm good at is being in front of people. So just give you an idea of my story. I'm a Denver native. I grew up in Denver my whole life. When I say Denver, I went to Denver public schools, K through 12. All right, I'm a product of DPS. I graduated from Thomas Jefferson High School in 2002. Played basketball ever since I was 4 years old. So I was always super competitive. Always liked competition. Always liked beating people and winning, and it's just fun. An older brother who's 3 years older than me, and we'd always get in fights playing basketball, playing football together. So always very competitive. And what happened was, when I graduated from high school, I was a decent, I was a good student. I wasn't a great student. I was a good student. So, I got a 3.0 GPA. I was a good basketball player. I wasn't a great basketball player, so I didn't really pursue basketball. after high school. But after high school, we're always taught that, okay, the next step is to go to college, right?
Yeah.
And that's what I did. So my parents, it really wasn't, which college was I going to, with this college. Are you going to colleges? Which college are you going to? So I went to CSU in Fort Collins. I was there from 2002 to 2006. I graduated in 4.5 years. I took 2 summer classes, 4.5 years, so no need to applause. But I was a liberal arts major, so if you don't know what that means, it means nothing. Okay, seriously, my sophomore year, well, I went into CSU as a journalism major, so I used to write sports. I like writing about sports and whatnot, so I'll do journalism. Well, at TJ, I got by on busy work and writing papers, okay? In college, my first class was Intro to Journalism, and there was no busy work, there was no papers, there was 3 tests. So I never studied in high school. I got by pretty much by writing papers and doing busy work. So I didn't study, I got a C, and in order to pass, you got to have a B in that class. So at that time, I said, well, I'm going to have to change majors because I'm not trying to retake this class. So I changed to speech communication, and I really just took the class because they were interesting. I learned about, ethnics and society and TV and communication, and it's just interesting stuff. Human behavior to me is very interesting. So I got a degree in that, and so speech communication. I got a minor in ethnic studies. And after college, I had no idea what I wanted to do. How many college grads in here? Okay. You ever been there before, too, where you had no idea what you wanted to do when you graduated? Yeah. Right? So that was me. And so by society standards, we said, you got to go to school, get a good degree, and get a good job. So at the time, a friend of mine used to work for Enterprise, rent a car, and she said, Ryan, we'll get your foot in the door. It's a great management training program, right? So that's what I did. I did an interview with Enterprise, rent a car. Never had a tie, didn't know how to tie a tie. I always wore my shoes not laced up, so I'd tie my tennis shoes for the interview, and I did really well, and I got the job. They hire everybody. So anyways, I was working for Enterprise, and this is my job with a college degree. I rented cars, and I washed cars. I rented cars, and that's what I did from about 6 a.m. to 7 p.m. Monday through Fridays, and 2 Saturdays a month. So I was doing that for $30,000 a year. You take out taxes, obviously there's less than that coming in. Single guy, I didn't have kids, anything like that. I just rented an apartment. But I was broke. I was just kind of working for a paycheck, living for the weekend. You guys ever been there before? Yeah. But I was sold in the back of my mind that, you go to work for a good company and you bust your butt, it's going to pay off. And that's what I did. So 8 months in, they promoted me to a level 2 sales position, where then basically what I did is I left rental, thank goodness. I was tired of washing Ford Tauruses at 6 p.m. at night on a January night, okay? So at a level 2 sales position, what I did is I remarketed their cars. Basically, you guys ever drive by, obviously, a used car dealership? You know 70% of those cars come from a rental agency? Right? Enterprise, Hertz, all that stuff, right? So basically, Enterprise works. They're a very profitable company. What they do is they buy in bulk from companies like GMC, Nissan, Toyota, right? So they buy at a dirt cheap price because they're buying the masses. Then, obviously, they rent them out. They earn income from the rentals. They earn income from the insurance that they sell on the cars. And then they service the cars back at the dealerships. And then when they're ready at a certain mileage point for the most value, we then take them and sell them back to the dealerships for their used car inventory. They sell it back to the dealerships for more than they even bought it from.
That's crazy.
So you can see how Enterprise is very profitable. So that was my job. I took basically a list of 500,000 cars, and I went basically outside sales to a used car manager. So any used car salesmen in here? No? Okay. They don't have a good rap, right? Picture a used car salesman, right? You got the cheap cologne, the hair poking out of your chest, the gold chains, right? So my job was to sell cars to their boss. So imagine what the boss looks like, right? So that's what I did. I went up there and I basically tried to sell him all my cars. And Enterprise is higher than most people, so I'm trying to convince him on why to buy my car, and he's trying to, shoot me down lower for a lower price. It was just a miserable job. You get cussed out. It was not the most professional Tom Hopkins approach. It was pretty much a lot of cussing back and forth. So I hated the job. Here's what makes it worse. I wasn't paid any commission. So people say, commission's bad. No, commission's great. Salary is bad. That's what I was on salary. So I was working more hours than I was rental, but they weren't compensating me for it. You with me? So after a while, I was just really stressed out, hated my boss, hated my pay, hated everything about it. I said, well, you know what? with a job comes benefits, right? You guys, benefits. Another misleading thing all benefits are is they take out money from your paycheck to pay for your benefits. That's all it really is, right? So I got some vacation time. I had to take a vacation. So I said, I'm going to go take a vacation. At the time, some college friends, they were going to South Padre, Texas for spring break. I said, I'm in, let's go. So we took a 12-passenger van, drove all the way down to South Padre, Texas, a blast. This was April of 2008. I came back with a week left of the month, didn't hit my sales numbers, and I got fired. Oh. So at the age of 24, I was jobless with a bad taste in my mouth for corporate America, and I made a decision. I said, you know what, I'll never work for somebody ever again. Don't really know what I'll do, but I'll never work for somebody. Because people say, well, I like the security of my job. That is a fallacy. There's no such thing as a secure job. If someone else writes your paycheck and they take it away,
yeah,
how secure is that? Right? Job security is like jumbo shrimp. It's an oxymoron. It doesn't go together, right? And that's what I realized. So at this time, guys, I was introduced to Primerica about 7 months prior. This was September of 2007 when I was introduced to Primerica. So this is just after the convention. So I didn't go to the convention, so this was just after the convention. And what happened was my brother at the time, my brother played Division II college football, and that was his life. It was football. He was a great cornerback. And he was assigned to kind of train and pursue, maybe, getting picked up by someone in the league. So at the time, he was just working a dead-end job for Nike Town, went up in 16th Street Mall in Denver, Colorado. Nike's Town was still around. So working there part-time. And what happened was he was at a barbecue, and one of his mutual friends was friends with a girl named Jade Wicks. You guys have heard of Jade Wicks before? Yep. Jade Wicks works up in the office with us. And Jade basically started talking to Jeff, and found out he played sports, just asked him if he left his options. Said, sure, I'll leave my options open. So he gave him down to an off night, and he basically then invited me. He said, hey, you got to come take a look at this business opportunity. I said, well, what is it? He says, it's insurance. I said, well, I'm not really interested in insurance. He says, no, you just got to come take a look, right? This just shows you don't have to, you want to say the right things, but you can't say the wrong things to the right people, right? So I came down. Keep in mind, in college, I saw Amway. You guys ever heard of Amway before? Yeah. And I saw Amway, and I liked it. It was brilliant to me. I said, what? You recruit a bunch of people, make money off them? I'm in. But my challenge was buying the inventory. Challenge, you buy a box of vintage drinks for $24. You sell it back to someone for, what, $30? Make a $6 profit? That's not really good, right? So I liked the idea. I just wasn't excited about vintage drinks, makeups, lotions, buy a lot, let it rot, right? I wasn't excited about that. So when I came to Primerica, initially I kind of saw the group setting. I said, well, this is probably something like that. Right? You've ever seen like a direct selling network marketing business before, Primerica, right? So initially I was not turned off, but I kind of knew what they were trying to do. But I sat to the presentation, never saw the Rule of 72. I didn't know much about life insurance. They're talking about mutual funds. I thought a mutual fund was something me and my girlfriend had on a Friday night. I didn't know any of that stuff. But it made sense. I said, well, 12% looks better than 9. Makes sense being out of debt than being in debt, right? Term insurance, that makes a heck of a lot more sense. So it made sense to me, and I always thought it'd be cool to learn about investing. And so basically I met with Jade the next day, and I mean, she had a terrible presentation, didn't know what the heck she was doing. And she just said, okay, you ready to get started? I said, yeah. She says, okay, I need your credit card. I said, for what? She said, for the $99. I said, okay. Gave her my credit card, right? How many people we fight over $99? Right? We try to overcome that objection. Okay, here you go, right? Wasn't an issue because I saw value. So I turned in my IBA in September 2007, didn't do anything until April of 2008 when I got licensed because I got fired from my job, right? And basically, guys, I learned this business from scratch. I went on one field training appointment. The guy who trained me knew nothing. He was pretty much just a stage talker. Went on one field training appointment. And after that, I said I could do this on my own. I got Mark Marchesani's CD, his boot camp, how to do a 6-page presentation. I just listened to that in my car over and over and over. And I just went and did my own presentation. I just learned it on my own. At the time, my brother, see what happened was he sat down with my parents. And just kind of give you an idea how powerful Primerica is. This is really what sold me. See, when he sat down with my mom and dad for a training appointment, I said, man, they don't really need our help. They're doing okay. My dad is a CPA. He's a certified public accountant. My mom would say he's a certified pain in the... he makes $100,000 a year. So by those standards, I assume John Moody knows what he's doing with his finances, right? He was clueless. You know, I've been in this business for 6.5 years. I've done lots of F&As for people. I've sat down with some wealthy people. I've sat down with, broke people, middle-class people. And I don't know if you guys, Josh, can vouch for this, but I've never been impressed with anybody I've sat down with. Ever. Not one. Now, I sat down with some wealthy people, but they had a whole life policy. There's always one area we can help them out. I truly believe that. So that was my mom and dad. You know, the upper middle income family, thought they're doing great. They did the F&A. They had 25 years left on their mortgage. They had 200 grand, some in the bank, some in an annuity, earning less than 1%. My mom had a whole life trash value policy she's paying into for 20 years. After 20 years, she had $1,200 saved up.
Wow.
So what they showed me in the presentation, yeah, that was cool. But now when you see it at the kitchen table, that's a lot different, right? So I think that's a testament to when you start to recruit people, you need to get them in the field right away. You need to go see their parents right away, their best friend right away. You need to show them this business works, right? The quicker you show someone this business works, you'll lock them in. That's why a recruit's not a recruit until you get a recruit, right? That's why you got to give them the kitchen table to 24 to 48 hours. Otherwise, low dive starts setting in. You guys ever heard of low dive before? Law of diminishing interest, right? Think about when people come to an op night or interview, their energy levels are up here, right? So if you're at a level 10, where's the only place you can go to? Down, right? You need to catch them going down. That's why you need to get with them right away. Get them in the field, show them success. When I saw it with my parents, I said, this is not just some business. This is not just some selling company. We're selling people vacuums and knives. What we do makes a difference. Would you all agree with that?
Yeah.
Right? If you're not a client, you're crazy. Right? If you're not saving in your mutual funds, you're crazy. Right? You need to own our products because you need to believe in what you're offering to people. So when I saw that with my parents, I believed in it right away. So like I said, didn't get out the fastest start. Pretty much learned this business from scratch. My brother sat down with my mom and dad, all my aunts and uncles, all the people I would have gone to see. So I learned this business through the cold market. And I know a lot of people say, oh, don't prospect cold, stay in your warm market referrals. Well, yes, in a perfect world, stay in the warm market, stay in the referrals. It's a lot easier. But I'm the kind of guy, if I have no one to talk to, I'll meet someone. Anybody else like that? Right? And I think that's the mindset you should have, is you just talk to everybody. So I literally got started in this business by picking up business cards, by calling resumes. I picked up a Shane Rubin CD called How to Build a $50,000 Base Shop from Scratch. And Shane Rubin talks about how he'd make 100 calls a day in the cold market and just set back-to-back interviews. And he had a little script of exactly what he said. So I literally listened to the CD, pressed pause, and wrote out the script. And then basically when you call people ask you certain questions. How'd you get my name? What is it? What would I be doing? Tell me more, right? And I just had highlighted what these answers were. Okay, so say if they asked me, how'd you get my name? What I say is this. If they ask me this, here's what I say. And that's literally how I learned how to prospect. I sat on the phone with a script in front of me and just cold called, right? And that's how I learned the business. So I'm very good on the phone. I think I'm better over the phone prospecting than face-to-face. But that's kind of my story, guys. I had 4 years repeated because I didn't really put in the effort. I would call a lot of people, but I'd focus on the calls, not the results. All right, I think, a lot of times it's easy to get focused. Well, I called 10 people today. How many did you talk to? 1. Did you get anything set up from it? No. Well, then you need to call some more people until you talk to some more people and get some more appointments set. Does that make sense? Yeah. So I really don't keep track. I keep track of how many calls I make, but I'm more concerned about how many people do I talk to and how many yeses do I get. Right? So when I first started, I would just, I made 10 calls, I'm good for the day. Right? I made 20 calls, I'm good for the day, 5 calls here. But then no one would show up. And when you're working in a colder market, you got to know that you have to have higher ratios, right? Your ratio, going to be a little bit lower. You need to have higher numbers. So that was my story. I didn't really put in the work until I heard, so we brought Ann on board. She kind of helped me with the team. I really kind of, I'm working on my R personality, but my attitude is if you're not serious, get out of my way. And I'd blow people out. I would care less if people quit. I'd just forget it, go find somebody else. And Anna says, you recruit these people, where do they go? I said, I don't know. They're a bunch of losers, right? I was a loser. I was the idiot for not getting better and learning how to retain people. So Anna helped me out with that. But what happened was I just kind of focused on getting more appointments booked because I heard a conference call from Whitney Cooper. You guys know Whitney Cooper, right? And it's funny why I'm speaking for you guys. If you guys don't know, I'm actually indirectly tied to Dave Harms. You guys know that? Remember one of the story?
Yeah.
So basically, Dave Harms hired a guy, I don't know if it's direct him, a guy named Jack Windler. Jack Windler hired a guy who hired a guy named Dave Buck. Dave Buck hired a guy named Andy Cornell. Okay? Andy Cornell hired Jade Wicks, who hired my brother, who hired me. That was Dave Harms' exchange leg to Mark Marchesani. Does that make sense? So indirectly, I'm related to the Harms organization. Gives it a special place in my heart.
Half brother.
I think maybe one of those people is still, 2 people are still in that leg. But Mark always jokes that the only reason I came up to Denver all those times is I wanted to make something of that leg. It wasn't looking promising, so we always give Mark a hard time. That's the only reason he spent time with us. But so I always love, Dave Harms. And one of the first CDs I listened to was Dave Harms Overcoming Objections. Right. One of the first CDs I listened to over and over. That got me good. Right? You should listen to that stuff over and over. And so when I heard Rob and Whitney Cooper, I was like, man, these guys are studs. I like what they're doing. And they're in a conference call. Mark had them do a conference call for us. And Whitney Cooper, I mean, you can just tell, I mean, she is serious, isn't she? I mean, no nonsense mentality. And she was talking about in her full-time meetings that she takes numbers from her people and does accountability. And she says, okay, well, if you're part-time, you need to be setting up at least 5 appointments a day, right? Which is about 25 days. That's 25 appointments a week. That's some form of yes. That's a commitment to the overview. That's a one-on-one interview or a kitchen table appointment book. And she says if you're full-time, you should be doing 10 appointments a day. So at this time, I was doing about 4 to 5 appointments a day, and I wasn't really seeing the results I wanted to get. And I said, well, I should probably do 10 appointments a day. And she says, what we'll do with our full-timers, we'll pull them together, and I'll take their numbers. And if anybody got anything less than 50 appointments for the week, I'll tell them to go and get a job. Hey, Joe, how many appointments you booked this week? 49. 49? I need you to go online right now and start applying for a job. So here I am. Oh, I'm full-time, right? I'm doing 25 appointments a week, right? So I'm saying I need to up my numbers. And that's what I did. So I basically upped my numbers, and that's really what changed our business. If you wouldn't mind pulling that whatever it takes sheet now, you can show them that now. This is really what I do every single week. I have this sheet I print up. It's called Whatever It Takes for Full-Timers, and it's just called Recruiting Appointments Booked, One-on-One or Overview. And there's basically a line of 10 appointments I book. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, I just track how many appointments I booked. So these are all my recruiting appointments. In the bottom right-hand corner, if you wouldn't mind scrolling over, I also track how many KTs I book as well. So I have a column for 10 kitchen table appointments. It's kind of the bottom right down here.
Oh, scroll down.
Yeah, there you go. My fault. Yeah. So I track all my recruiting appointments, and then my goal is to book 10 kitchen table appointments every single week. All right, because the reality of it, you book 10 kitchen table appointments, 25 to 50% of them are going to cancel or skip, right? But if you're doing 5 appointments a week, 6 appointments, you're going to get some premium. You're going to find some good referrals, things like that. Most of my kitchen tables come through field training and recruiting, and I'm trying to get better with my referral business. But this is what I do every single week. I could show you a 3-ring binder where I have every single week filled out for about 2.5 years, where I religiously set 50 appointments a week. And by setting 50 appointments a week, you can't go wrong. Something's going to happen, right? I don't care if your ratios suck, but people are going to show up, and that's what we focus on, is doing that, making sure we have the activity in place. So before I kind of get into a little more nuts and bolts, I really want to kind of tell you guys on why to recruit. We talk about recruiting. I think it's very important if you know why are you recruiting. Would you agree? It's important to know why you're going to do something. As a little kid, Mom, you do this. Why am I going to do this? Why am I going to? You give them that good explanation, they'll do it, right? So you got to know why to recruit. If you could now pull up the PowerPoint for me, that'd be great. Appreciate it. You use it for clicker, Tom? Okay.
Turn it on. I'll let you touch it.
Dave got this one started.
All right. So, if you know why to recruit, if you start with the end in mind, I said you always start with the end in mind, right? I think recruiting will become a lot easier because you'll know what you're fighting for. So, I put this together. I just got this from I got a couple of these slides from Omar Oropesa, and I think it's important you inspect what you expect. Does that make sense? So if you're not tracking your numbers, if you don't know what your numbers are, it's very hard to get results. They're going to be up and down, right? So this is called How to Grow Your Passive Income by Understanding the Numbers. So the only reason I recruit is not just to recruit. I don't recruit to sell. I don't recruit, just to recruit someone. I recruit to build a business that gives me unlimited passive income. So what is passive income? That's money being paid to you for work you did yesterday. True or false?
True.
Right? So that's the only reason I joined Primerica. When I sat through a presentation, I said, well, I don't know much about the Rule of 72, but there's a lot of people in this room. What if I recruited them and I overrode them. Does that make sense? The only reason I recruit is to build a business that produces RVPs, so eventually I don't have to call anybody ever again. How'd that feel? Right? But in order to do that, you got to understand the numbers. So here are the numbers of our biz. I want to show you this real quick. Inspect what you expect. If there's any grammatical errors in your spelling areas, don't worry. Okay, it's okay. Don't be offended. I'm not an English major. What would you have made? Here's a question you should ask yourself. What would you have made this month if you wrote zero business?
Zero.
That's what I said. Right? Then we got to go recruit some licensing people, right? That's a very powerful question, right? What would you have made this month if you wrote zero business this month? That's the value. That's the true value of your business. I got this from. I was invited to go to Canada with Mark Marchesani. This guy got up and his name was Shafiel or something. He was a guy in Canada making $250,000 a year. And he asked that question. I said, probably zero, man. I need to go recruit some more people, right? So that is the true value of your business. And you want a high value of your business, right? So you want to make sure that if you don't write anything, you can have a sustainable and profitable business. So what does your business look like? Very simple. Take the number of code numbers. A code number, that's your licenses, right? So number of code numbers. Multiply that by 15%. All right? Some of you might say, I don't know how many code numbers. That's the first step. Figure out how many licenses you actually have, right? And sometimes it's not even how many licenses you have. How many new licenses do you have? Because things get stale, don't they? We're realizing that in our business today. People get stale. Timing sometimes isn't right for people. They'll be super excited, fired up, count on me, I'm going full time, and you never hear from them for a month, right? Things get stale. Keith Otto said in Puerto Rico, he likes filet mignon and nice sushi, but if you leave that stuff out for a couple days, you're not touching that, right? You got to have fresh food, just like you need fresh code numbers. Well, how many code numbers do you have? Multiply that by 15%, and that equals the number of reps that will actually produce. I didn't invent this. That's the company's numbers. Those have been the company's numbers since 1977, since Art Nguyen has founded the company. So very simply, if you want a predictable business, how many codes do you have? Multiply that 15% by 15%. That equals the number of reps that will actually produce. So for example, they're going to produce about, here's the exact numbers from the company, 1.19 to 2.2 life apps per producer. Very simple. So that equals the number of apps you've written times $1,000 average sale. That equals the estimated premium your business should produce. So if you have zero codes, you will get zero production. If you have one code, probably going to get zero production. Make sense? So you just need to figure out, okay, I need to grow my license codes, multiply that by 15%. On average, they'll write anywhere from 1 to 2 life apps per month. Okay? Again, we're not talking about securities, this, and the other. You'll get that stuff. The plan, some of the things that never will leave Primerica is recruiting and term insurance, right? So this is just off term insurance. That's the estimated premium your business should produce. So what's the key? To grow your codes, to grow your licensed agents, right? Now, how many codes do you have in your base shop? I already asked that, right? You should figure that out if you don't know that question. Let's say you have 10 codes. Let's say you have 10 licensed codes on your team. Let's do the math. 10 codes times 15% equals 1.5 reps. So on any given month, 1.5 reps will write about, let's say give a benefit of the doubt, 2 sales, 2 apps per month. At 1,000 premium, that's 3,000 in premium that your team produced. Okay? Let's say the average override, if the producers were districts, let's say, we're 50%, and that's $1,500 a month in overrides that you would make if you're, I think I calculated said maybe like a senior regional leader, something like that. That's $1,500 in overrides. Isn't that pretty cool? Mm-hmm. Right? $1,500 in overrides by you doing nothing, just by you going recruiting and licensing people. All right, that's no personal premium included. Let's say you have 50 codes. Take this a little bit bigger, right? 50 codes, 50 times 15%, 7.5 reps will write 1 to 2 sales a month. Let's say it's 2. 7 times 2 is about 14,000 premium. And that's not off your pen, right? The average override if producers were RLs, 40%, that's basically about $5,600 a month in overrides, and that's an RVP. All right, that's your override off those RLs. That's pretty cool, right? Yeah. That's unbelievable, right? Just by hiring and licensing people. No personal premium. Let's say 100 codes. Okay. 100 codes, that's really the goal. I think that's where the goal is. I've always said I want 100 licensed codes in my base shop, because if you have 100 licensed codes, 15 reps are going to produce about 2 sales a month. If you look at that, that's $30,000 premium. That's a $30,000 base shop right there, right? There's a $30,000 base shop. Average override, let's say the producers are RLs, you get a 40% spread on that. We'll say that's 12 grand a month just in overrides. Right? I mean, I don't know how many codes Dave Harms has. I don't know how many
600.
codes. 600. Right? You look at the Arizons. You look at all these people doing the big bay shops. I guarantee they have at least 100 codes in their bay shop. Okay, so that's 12 grand a month just in overrides, no personal premium.